Welcome back. 4 Democrats will be on the ballot this August, fighting to replace Republican Congressman Bryan Steil in the 1st Congressional. Democrats nationally are targeting both Steil and Congressman Derek Van Orden in the 3rd. Steil won the district back in 2024 by 10 points.
Lorenzo Santos is one of the Democrats in the race, and he joins us now. Welcome to Upfront.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start right there. Bryan Steil winning this race by 10 points 2 years ago. He beat Peter Barca, a candidate who you backed in that race. How do Democrats flip this race and flip the seat?
Well, Democrats need to keep the main thing. We need to make sure that we are prioritizing the voters in the 1st district. I mean, Bryan Steil and Donald Trump, they lied to American voters about what they would do. They lied about the Epstein files. They have not released the full Epstein files. That should be one of the most bipartisan things that we should be seeing happen. It hasn't. They lied about the economy. Donald Trump said he would improve the economy. He's hurt the economy.
Before November, there's first a Democratic primary in August. You entered the race at end of February. Right. How much have you raised? How's fundraising going?
Here's the thing about money. The most important thing is we are building a grassroots movement. I mean, if money was the main thing, we would have a Governor Michaels and we would have a Senator Hovde. My main thing is making sure that I am talking to voters of the 1st District. Bryan Steil has had the opportunity to do that. He hides behind these telephone town halls and really no one knows that he's doing it. He needs to show up for the 1st District of Wisconsin. He has been missing in action, and that's part of the problem, and I'm going to be the person that is going to show up and make sure I'm listening to the constituents, Republican, Democrat, or otherwise.
Among the 4 Democrats, what makes you the best Democrat, then, to take on Bryan Steil?
Well, at the end of the day, like I said, I'm out in the district. I'm listening to everybody, Republican or Democrat. At the end of the day, we need to have someone who's going to stand up for Wisconsinites, who understands what we're going through, who's going to fight for us. And frankly, I think we're going to have a Democratic president in 2028, but I don't care if it's a Democrat or a Republican in the White House. If anyone goes against the interests of the 1st District, they will hear from me.
The DCCC has listed the 1st Congressional District as one of their top priority districts. Yeah. How much do you think that national Democrats will actually get involved in this race and assist in this race?
Well, look, I'm focused on making sure that my campaign is building the strongest coalition and making sure that we are meeting voters where they are. The DNC will hop on board. They're going to see that we're the strongest campaign. They're going to see that we have the strongest coalition, and they will back us. It's just a matter of making sure that we are more focused on making sure that we are working with voters and that we are interfacing with voters. I'm not concerned with trying to get the DNC on board. I'm not concerned with trying to make sure that I'm getting the top endorsements in the state. The most important thing right now is to make sure that I'm fighting for the district of the 1st District of Wisconsin. I'm fighting for my constituents. That's what Bryan Steil's not doing.
And looking specifically with the DCCC, have you had any early conversations with them at all?
Yeah, I've had conversations with the DCCC. I've spoken to them, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is the campaign that we're running here. All politics is local. They're not here. They're in Washington. I understand my district, and that's what's most important right now.
You're a Navy veteran. You ran 2 years ago in this seat, then you got out and backed Peter Barca. What makes you ready for Congress?
Well, look, all of those experiences collectively make me ready. And the biggest thing is making sure that you show up. That's the main thing. I've talked to voters of the district. I understand what they're going through. Everyone's struggling right now. Everyone's anxious because they feel that they have a representative right now in Bryan Steil. If Bryan Steil grew a backbone on the issues and at least stood up for this district, I'd drop out of this race right now. But he's not going to do that. He's had the opportunity to do that. He's missing in action. My job is to make sure that the voters of the 1st District of Wisconsin have an advocate and someone who's going to fight for them, and that's why I'm in this race.
Lorenzo Santos, the Democratic U.S. congressional candidate, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you swinging by.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Now, we've also talked with Mitchell Berman and Peter Bergelis. You can watch those interviews right now on the 12 News YouTube page under the Upfront playlist.
Up next, a look ahead.